She does everything, so working, she cooks, washes everything.
I don't like where this conversation is going.
Sometimes I say I want old Shekinah back because she was so obedient.
He just like really rubs you the wrong way. He can't help himself, and it's I don't even know what the
Sarper was supposed to make up with Shekinah's family. It was what Sofie asked of him. So when we join them in this episode, the couple have flown to Montana to meet up with Shekinah's sisters. You know, the ones that don't exactly have a good opinion of him. But Sarper is hoping that he'll be able to change that. After all, this is the new modern Sarper that we're talking about. He's done with all his old bad behaviour. I mean, just look at him. Look at his new moustache. He's more lovable than ever, right?
Wow, are they real, babe? I mean, is it the real size of a goose?
babe. That's a moose. Moose.
Moose, not goose.
But while we may have been enjoying this new side of Sarper, Shekinah's sisters haven't been there to see it. In fact, it's actually been 2 years since Shekinah visited Montana to see them all, and she now opens up a little bit about her childhood. You see, Shekinah's family moved to Montana when she was 16 years old, but before that, they lived a very interesting life.
We went from living in the Amish lifestyle to living still a conservative lifestyle, but not as conservative.
It's easy to forget this, isn't it? It's easy to forget that Shekinah was raised Amish. I mean, just look at her now. You'd never know it. But it seems like her sisters are very much the same too. In fact, when we meet them, it's very obvious that they've all grown up to embrace the freedom that they clearly didn't have when they were younger. And that is particularly true when it comes to their looks.
I think that most people would probably hardly believe that this was my background. I survived it, but, you know, I chose a very different life.
Now, while it's clear that Shekinah doesn't exactly look back on her childhood with much fondness, Sarper, on the other hand, is over the moon that he can finally get to play cowboy. Shekinah gives him a cowboy hat, and to ease his nerves before meeting her family, the pair decide to go horse riding.
These horses are therapy horses, actually. Did you know that exists?
No.
Yeah, it helps to heal anxiety, stress,
Right now,
depression.
I need one.
Now look, we do go on about how much Sarper has changed, but let's take a minute to also commend Shekinah. She knows that Sarper's nervous about meeting her family, right? And she also knows that Sarper loves animals. So what she's doing here, organising therapy horses, is one of the most thoughtful things that we've seen her do, isn't it? It's really nice, it's really thoughtful. And to add to those good feelings, almost immediately, one of the horses really seems to resonate with Sarper.
What horse are you feeling drawn to?
Brown one.
Is there something in particular about her?
She looks more miserable. I love that.
Miserable.
He loves misery.
Forget Sarper's stand-up comedy routine, which frankly was terrible. The truth is, these two, when they're not trying, and that's the key part, when they're not trying, are both hilarious. Now, on the topic of miserable horses, thankfully, these therapy horses do seem to be working. Sarper really enjoys his brown little miserable one, and even though he is still nervous, crucially, he may have just learned a very valuable tactic from the horses for how he should approach Shekinah's sisters.
I was gentle with some compliments, approaching not so aggressively. I can use the same way with your sisters.
Yeah, that is not a bad idea at all, Sarper. Compliments would be a great improvement, especially compared to the insults that were thrown around the last time you met Shekinah's sister. Now, as they wrap up with the horses, Sarper begins complaining to Shekinah about the fact that he's constantly having to prove himself to people in her life. Like your daughter, your baguette-eating friends, your family. Why does no one believe in me? He asks.
Because of your own actions, ways you've chosen to live your life, and things you've chosen to do to me in our relationship. It's your own fault. Take ownership of it.
Shekinah is saying that Sarper's past and the way that he used to treat her and other women have come back to bite him on the arse. But we have seen that Sarper has taken ownership of that. We've seen how much effort he's put into changing, but does the same also apply to Shekinah's family? Will they also be open to changing their minds?
I think they are really similar as people.
I'm sure it's quite a culture shock just being in a place like this.
Hopefully it's a better first meeting experience than mine.
Is it just me, or do Shekinah's family really look like members of a country gothic rock band? Like, they look pretty intimidating. Now, thankfully, things do get off to a positive start when Sarper shows off his American patriotism. But it quickly becomes obvious that Shekinah's sister, Shariah, hasn't forgotten her last experience with Sarper. And to say that their conversation feels very strained and awkward would be a drastic understatement.
When I see you guys, all of you are full of tattoos, I feel myself so innocent.
You have tattoos? What are you talking
Yes,
about?
for Turkish standards, I have a lot of tattoos, yeah.
Yeah, it really does seem as if all of Shekinah's family have rebelled against their Amish roots. Now, before long, the small talk comes to an abrupt end. Sarper addresses the elephant in the room. He explains why they've come today. He tells them all about meeting Sofie and her condition for him. Sofie says that she'll accept me if I can fix my relationship with all of you, he tells them.
I have a lot to prove because we didn't make a good start with you, especially.
Yeah.
Now might actually be the perfect time to say sorry again, Sarper. And in all fairness to him, he did try to apologise, he did try to clear the air before she left Turkey, but seeing as he knows it didn't really work, she still doesn't like him, now might be the perfect opportunity to say sorry again and start on fresh footing. But that doesn't happen. Instead, one of Shekinah's other sisters takes this opportunity to ask Sarper how he deals with Shekinah's jealousy issues nowadays.
She never saw any lies of me about talking to any girls, any DMing or whatever, because I don't, and I won't.
So you just go based off his word?
And this is where everything starts to fall apart. Now, personally, I didn't really have that big of an issue with Sarper's response. What he was trying to say was that since being with Shekinah, he hasn't looked at any other woman. No incriminating evidence has come to light, he says, because there is none. But, unfortunately for him, Shekinah's sisters don't really care about that. They've already made up their minds. They're already judging him based on his not-so-little black book filled with 3,000 women's names. And so, despite Shekinah's insistence that she trusts Sarper, her sisters think that she's just being naive.
I mean, Shekinah has a way of definitely just seeing the best in people. And a lot of times she'll continue to let things slide. She's being so naive.
Sorry, Sarper, but here's the uncomfortable truth. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. This is the reputation that you built for yourself. In fact, it goes beyond just a reputation. This was your identity. You took pride in boasting about it every opportunity that you got. Now, that might be in the past, right? We might not have heard you boast about all these women for quite some time now, but if it took you years to build that reputation and identity, it's not going to disappear overnight. Like, that's just the truth, isn't it? No matter what he says, Shekinah's family do have a view about him, a view that is going to be hard to change. Now, in fairness to Sarper, he does try his very best. He does talk about how much he loves Shekinah, how good they are together, how they balance each other. But, unfortunately for him, Shekinah's family don't seem like they're willing to listen to him. In fact, they seem determined to misunderstand everything that he says.
Do you all have geisha vibes like her?
What does that mean?
The house, for example, she does everything, so working, she cooks, washes
I
everything.
don't like where this conversation's going.
Hold up!
Oh no, stop, Sarper, stop. That sounds very much like old Sarper talking, doesn't it? Now, when Shekinah tries to explain what he means, she just puts her foot in it. She just makes it even worse.
He's just saying that I serve him.
Okay, so what I think he was trying to say isn't that she serves him. I think this was Sarper trying to compliment Shekinah. I think he was trying to compliment her on her homemaking ability. But, of course, understandably you've got to say, Shekinah's sisters are now definitely on edge.
He just really rubs you the wrong way. He can't help himself. And it's, even hearing him talk about she's the geisha, I don't even know what the
Sensing that the mood at the table has shifted, Sarper begins to panic. When Shariah asks if he still believes the same thing that he said to her in Turkey, and remember, Sarper had said at that point that he likes Shekinah better when she doesn't talk. He prefers that she doesn't express her own opinions. Instead of backtracking, instead of clarifying what he really thinks, Sarper makes things worse by saying this.
Is that still something that you feel like you can't like voice your opinion or feelings on things?
I don't like it, but she does.
But I do it anyways.
Now, I know what he just said, right? But hear me out here. I'd argue that what he's saying actually isn't true. Like, I don't know why he just said that. I don't know if it's nerves or maybe something's being lost in translation. But the fact is, no one can tell me that Sarper doesn't listen to Shekinah. He does. He does take on board her opinions and her feelings. Like, we've seen him countless times adjust his behaviour in order to try and make Shekinah happy. But, for whatever reason, what Sarper's trying to say just isn't coming out right. He's doing a terrible job of trying to express himself properly.
Sometimes I say I want old Shekinah back because she was so obedient, but I changed it. You know, right now I'm listening to you.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Oh my God, Sarper, why are you doing this to yourself? I think this is a mix of Sarper being A, too honest, and B, very, very nervous. Now, Shekinah's family aren't listening to him when he says he's changed. All they're hearing are the bad parts. The truth is, Sarper's nerves have completely got the better of him here. His verbal diarrhea, his word vomit, has dug him a hole that he might not be able to get out of.
I feel the tension right now. Everything is happening so quick, and when you miss the last exit before the bridge and you are in the bridge and you cannot go back, I feel that.
This meeting was supposed to build bridges. It was supposed to repair previous damage. But if Sarper keeps going on like this, he's only going to ruin his relationship with them even more. And if he can't win their approval, that means no approval from Sofie, and that means no wedding to Shekinah. Everything is now at stake. Has Sarper's verbal diarrhea just cost him his future?